Hi everyone, good morning. Today we're going to cover topic 6.2, Xylem and Phloem, and this is our learning objective. We're going to look at the positions of the xylem and phloem tissues as seen in the transverse sections of unthickened herbaceous dicotyledonous root, stems, and leaves. So what is our step to success today? Firstly, we are going to recognize xylem tissues. That means that when we look at it, we definitely know that that is the xylem tissues. We need to be able to recognize phloem tissues. That means that if you look at it, looking at the structure, how it looks like, no matter how the drawing looks like or what picture it is, we know that that is the phloem tissues, and we should be able to locate where they are if they are placed in the roots, the stem, and the leaves. So I just want to clarify the word transverse section. So I've talked to you guys about this quite repeatedly. When we look at transverse section or the cross section, those are the same things. And it's pretty much like when you are cutting your favorite Hari Raya dessert, which is the tapak kuda. That is how you are cutting that sample in the transverse section. Okay, so the xylem and phloem tissue, we're basically going to study how they look under the microscope and where they are. But before that, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about what are their function and all that. So let's start off with the xylem vessels first. Xylem vessels are basically long and narrow tubes. Narrow meaning the fact that their diameter is very small. For example, the diameter of a xylem vessel could even be less than or about 0.3 millimeters. And they also stretch from the roots to the stem. That means that all the way the xylem vessels, they are at the end of the roots even, and then towards the stem and even towards the leaves as well. They stack end to end like drain pipes. So this means that they are continuous. They continue from the roots and to the leaves, and they're very long, and the xylem cells, they are stacking end to end, just like what we mean, just like drain pipes. So what are the main functions of the xylem vessels? We have covered this a little bit before. Xylem vessels have two main functions. Firstly, which is to transport water and dissolved mineral salts from the roots, stem, and to leaves to even the fruits. And also actually to provide support for aerial parts of the plant. Aerial means at the top part of the plant. So it gives strength and support. So xylem vessels, they are adapted to give those functions because they are strengthened by this additional chemical called the lignin. Lignin kills xylem vessel cells, so this helps to cause no layer of cytoplasm. That means that there's no obstruction. So for example, if you have a pipe that carries water, you don't want any gunk in the between, otherwise the water will not flow very smoothly. So this lignin actually kills the cells that stack up to make the xylem vessels, so that there is no layer of cytoplasm. And lignin also helps to thicken the walls to provide more strength. This also helps to anchor the plants onto the ground. It also helps to prevent the plant from bending when there's strong winds as well. So what we mean by the lignin thickening the walls, you can see here, these two are microscope images of the xylem vessels, and you can see how thick the walls are. So xylem vessels, if you just imagine like individual cells that are stacked up like pancakes, you know those like pancake cakes thingies? I don't know what they're called, but they kind of put layers and layers of it's not pancake, what is it called? Okay, I don't know what they're called, but just imagine layer of pancakes, and they're stacked up on top of each other, and and then basically the middle of the pancake is all gone. So that is how you make a xylem vessel. Ah, my head, I still can't forget about the pancake cake thing. Anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, please send me a message. Okay, anyways, looking at this over here, you can see that there are holes as well at the sides of the xylem vessels. This is caused by the lignin as well, and why there are little holes as well is so that water can actually move longitudinally and also transversely, so that they can move to the sides wherever they are pretty much needed. They literally do look like straws actually that are stacked up as well. The phloem itself is definitely different. Phloem consists of, instead of dead cells, they consist of living cells that are arranged end to end. They have holes as well, but instead of just at the sides or the walls of the vessels, they actually have holes in between. And they also have living cells called companion cells that help them to kind of direct where to transport the... Oh, I forgot. Oh no, I didn't forget. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys about the function after this. To transport like the sugars and the amino acids. Okay, so this is the phloem vessels, and you can see that these are sieve tube elements. I think they are actually cells. You have, oh no, okay, the sieve tube elements, and then the companion cells are the ones that are next to the sieve tube elements. Let me just Google quickly what are sieve tube elements. Give me 3 seconds. Pause this video if you can right now. Okay, so sieve tube elements are specialized cells that are important for function of the phloem. Yeah, so that makes sense. So they are basically cells as well, actually. So these sieve tube elements are cells, and you have companion cells as well that aid them to transport these substances like sugars and amino acids. And these ones right here are called the sieve plate. So just like a plate, like pinggan plate, but we have sieve. If you do a lot of baking at home, sieves are basically what you use to kind of like taper off, like, or filter off the flour, something like that. So they have like tiny holes, and yep. Okay, so what is the main function of the phloem vessels? Phloem vessels have 2 main functions. The first one is to transport sucrose up and down the plant. We've talked about this before, that plants convert the glucose into sucrose first for transport, because glucose itself is highly reactive, so you want a very stable molecule to transport it. The second is to transport amino acids up and down the plant. So when we're talking about water, transporting water, we know that water is transferred from the roots up into the leaves, but that's only like a one-way direction. But with the phloem vessels, they transport up and down, and this is helped by those companion cells as well, because they are living cells that are in the phloem, so you can actually control the direction of movement of substances. So these ones are I meant phloem vessels. What do they actually look like? So the phloem vessels, they have the sieve plates, right? The ones that are in the picture. So that's what the sieve plates actually look like. If you have a look over here in picture A, you can see how big and thicker the walls of the xylem is compared to these parts right here. Can you see those like little dots right there? So let me just try to zoom in. Can I zoom in? Okay, I want to zoom in over here. So you can see over there, you can see the sieve plates, and they look so cute and small. And the shape of the phloem is pretty much like a honeycomb. That's why when you kind of like draw it, we kind of like draw it as if it is like a honeycomb shape. And the walls are much more thinner, and those are pretty much the sieve plate. So a pretty cool microscope image right here that you can see very clearly. Alright, so now is the time for us to have a look at the position of the xylem and the phloem and where they are at the root systems and the leaves. And we're going to look at these flowers. These ones are called ranunculus, I think. I don't really know how to pronounce it very well. But the common name is buttercup, just like our Powerpuff Girl. And they are just so beautiful, aren't they? Buttercups are really, really pretty. The other plant that we're going to look at under the microscope is the water lily as well. Okay, so this is what I mean. Okay, so this is the vascular bundle location in the root. Okay, vascular bundle is both the xylem and the phloem because they are both kind of like, they come in a bundle and they are vascular, like vessels. So if we have a look at this image right here, this is the buttercup cross section of the root. And you can see, so imagine like a taproot, and then you kind of just like cut it. And you can see in the middle over here, there's like an X marks the spot there. And if you zoom in, this is actually the central region of the root. And you can clearly see the X over there, what that is. But at the sides, don't ignore it. Those are also some vessels right there. So this is what we are looking at. So I want you to focus on the red color and the yellow lines that I'm going to draw for you. So this red over here is referring to that red over there. And the other area you need to look at is actually the circled area at the sides right over there. So this is, so the circle area is actually the phloem, and the X marks the spot is your xylem. So when you are drawing this, if you ever see a picture that is like this and it is clearly the root, make sure that you're just drawing the shape just like that. So just draw mostly something like an X shape with circles at the side. That is how you draw the vascular bundle location in the roots. Okay, next up is the vascular bundle location in the stem. So the stem part. Okay, you can see over here there are like circles going around, kind of like what you see of like the seeds of the cucumber, that kind of position right there. And we're actually looking at over here as well. For me, honestly, it's so much easier to spot the xylem. The xylem is like pretty big, and you know that they have like those extra thickened wall. So we're looking at, remember the two colors we're looking at as well. So right here, the red color part, that is your xylem, and you can see that they actually form a ring. And we're actually talking about dicot, okay, dicot organisms, I mean plants here. So only for dicot plants, they form a ring in the stem. And you also have that part at the top as well right here, and that one right next to it, that is what we're looking at. So over there, that is your phloem, so the yellow color part, and that red part is your xylem. Right, next is the vascular bundle in the leaves, and this is the water lily. And water lily is obviously it's a water plant. So you can actually see this very specialized part right here. This really, really big, the intracellular airspace, because the leaves of the water lily, they kind of float on water. So that's why they have like really huge airspace as well. But what we're looking at here, the vascular bundle, just like how we usually draw them, you've drawn this before as well. The vascular bundle is right in the middle. So we're looking at, if you are looking at the cross section of the leaf, you know that wherever the vascular bundle is, that's where the veins are. That's why it's kind of like this, but the positions is always the same, whereby you have the top over there, isn't it? That is your xylem, and the bottom. So make sure that you know that the phloem should be at the bottom and the xylem should always be at the top when you're looking at the leaves, the position of the vascular bundle in the leaves. So now we're done with our lesson. Let's just recap. So we have to recognize xylem tissue. We can tell them by looking at how thick the wall is. They have lignin deposits and they are very long and narrow tubes. And as for the phloem tissues, they are living cells. Companion cells are there as well, and if you can find the sieve plates, then it's obvious that is a phloem tissue. And in the roots, you have to just draw basically in the middle of the root, draw like an X and like circles at the side, and in the middle is always the xylem. However, the sides, the circle of the sides are the phloem. Okay, middle is xylem. As for the stem, they form a ring, so you just draw a circle and then cut them in half. And the one on the outside this time is also the phloem, and on the inside is the xylem. And lastly, for the leaves, this is a bit much more familiar and easier. You have to just draw like an oval, cut it in half. The top is, the bottom is the phloem and the top is the xylem. So that's pretty much all that you need to know today. So I hope you guys have a good day. Bye bye and stay safe, everyone. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, I remember now. Is it crepe cakes? Crepe cakes? Yes, those are the pancake cakes that I was talking about. Okay, bye.